Did you hear Trump? You talked about Ukraine, and I imagine you found some willingness to amend that 28-point plan, even addressing the critical points that you Europeans, and not only, but also the G7 have shown.
Yes, I found a willingness from the President of the United States. We also had a rather long call with Finland's President, Alex Stubb, and I found a willingness. I believe the work our Sherpas are doing today in Geneva, let's say, follows this understanding. I mean, stepping back for just a moment, it's quite clear that all of us have always worked towards peace. We have all consistently worked for peace since the very beginning of this conflict. We've done so as Europeans and as Americans by supporting Ukraine in its crucial ability to resist against a conflict whose outcome many, frankly, considered to be a foregone conclusion. It wasn't a given. We built that deterrence on the ground, which today allows us to speak of peace. I think we should claim it because it's work we all did together. After that, clearly, in a meeting whose outcomes I unfortunately don't know because it's currently ongoing, in the American plan, as you already know, there are certainly some points that must be discussed. The issue of the territories, the issue of funding for reconstruction, the issue of the Ukrainian army. There are also many points that I consider particularly positive, especially regarding security guarantees, where it's written in black and white, a direct involvement also of the United States in a security guarantee proposal that then, you know, revives an idea that was initially Italian, namely security guarantees based on the Article 5 model. Well, I think we can do positive work, and we are certainly all committed to reaching a document, a proposal that can be as close as possible to what is desired, not so much by us, but to what is needed to achieve peace, to have an independent and sovereign Ukraine, and to ensure security for Europe as well. No, I don't think that's the objective. Well, I think that it's quite clear, not on this point. That's not what I'm seeing, because you've all been witnesses, and I myself have been a witness to all the many times when the Ukrainians, Zelensky, have clearly thanked the United States. Besides, look, it's endemic in the sense that the need to, let's say, continue working with our US allies obviously also stems from the importance of their role in this matter, right? So if one were ungrateful towards them, there probably wouldn't even be a need for them, in the sense that their importance in the conflict wouldn't be understood. Instead, everyone understands it, and they understand it very well. Just as on the issue of Europe continuing to buy gas from Russia, I myself explained to the President of the United States that, for example, Italy, since the beginning of the war, has done an incredible job to, at the time, our dependence was certainly significant, so perhaps some of what happened later wasn't communicated, but we, for example, have totally diversified, as you know very well, and we no longer depend on Russia at all. So from this perspective, Europe has done a very important job, but I do think that certainly some of the things being said ultimately serve to generate, let's say, to put it mildly, pressure on the interlocutors, but it seems to me that it's done a bit on one side, a bit on the other. Well, the method of working, we're quite familiar with it. In some instances, it has also proven effective, you know, as we've observed in the Middle East. After that, the real point, I repeat, in my opinion, isn't the press statements. The real point is what ultimately ends up in black and white on the proposal with which Americans, Ukrainians, Europeans decide to sit down at the table with the Russians. So regarding the European partners, I think it was clear from the statement made yesterday, right? And in which essentially they said exactly what I just told you, that we consider it a starting point and are ready to work to improve the proposal. This was in a meeting attended by all the European leaders present at the G20 plus the G7 partners. So it's even broader, and it seems to me that we are all in agreement. Well, look, as for Pearl, we don't have a specific deadline in the sense that we operate based on priorities. Right now, as I've mentioned, we are currently working on a 12th aid package, and therefore at this moment we are not adhering. The time will tell in the future, but we haven't set ourselves any deadlines. As for the issue of corruption, it clearly has an impact, obviously, but it also affects our public opinion, and that's legitimate. I mean, I still consider it important that Ukraine has demonstrated it has the antibodies. Ultimately, we must always remember that these arrests come based on initiatives of Ukrainian institutions, so there is probably a problem, but there are also the antibodies to manage that problem. So Deputy Prime Minister Salvini says something correct, that is, he says Italian taxpayers' money cannot end up in the hands of corrupt people. And obviously we must be vigilant to prevent this from happening, but I repeat, it seems to me that the Ukrainian government has demonstrated a full will to Ukrainian institutions have demonstrated a full will to combat, in short, any potential corruption, which are even more serious for them, especially since they have people dying at the front.